Hello everybody, welcome, good evening. It is indeed 1900 hours on July the 6th. So welcome. I hope all of our American attendees enjoyed celebrations over the weekend. Happy 4th of July to you all, even it's been and gone. So welcome. What have we got for tonight? A couple of things really. A suggestion came in to look again at the classic colour change that we consider for continuation trade entries. The original idea wasn't mine, but it is a very good one. I feel somewhat guilty sharing it, but I suppose if credit is given to the creator, all is fair, I think, and I hope. The colour change also helps me turn this evening into another opportunity to make things very philosophical, in my own, I suppose, tongue-in-cheek way. Philosophically then, things either exist or they don't. We should be very clear about that, unless of course we need medication. In our educational sessions, I strive to remind everyone that things happen or exist on a chart. Remember last week, we agreed that everything that happens stays happened. It's only logic really, and of course, it's the only philosophy that really works. We also heard from two traders last week on Thursday that had taken losses during our sessions, whilst the majority of attendees had followed the plan we made and taken many pips. Delving into their entries, we heard late entry, early exit, or on wins and losses alike. So once again, we go back to the true and fair principle of accounting. I ask you all to question the chart on each bar. Ask, is it true and fair to say something has happened? Is it true and fair to say we are, as at now, in a trend? The list of questions is long, and I'm surely not going to go through them all. However, for the sake of the classic colour change bar, with many thanks to Mr. Peter Nightingale, a member of ours, by the way. It's not some randomer like we had, what was it, Nicholas Darvas last week. Peter Nightingale is an active member of our group. I need to thank him, and we do need to ask those two questions. Are we in a trend? Have we a colour change offering late or re-entry? And that means you might have missed the signal. So can I go in now because I wasn't here when the signal happened? We can look for one of those on the chart now on a kind of a has it happened or is it happening as at then or now, and we'll review the idea on a chart. I also have another little idea to look at. We'll do that next. So what exactly is a classic colour change? Well, if we're in a downtrend, we can identify this green bar right here as being a classic colour change. And for us on a 1 minute chart, we're really only looking to see, is price lower on the right than it was on the left? And for the last 1-2 hours, we've been in a downtrend. So we can then go from left to right, seeking those classic colour changes. We can't really suggest that this is one, because here is where the uptrend turns to a downtrend. Now there's some things I would also like to see, excuse me, with a classic colour change. I'd like to see us rejecting a line. I'd like to see divergence. But who am I to change my own rules? Divergence, rejection of a line and a signal, be it a classic colour change or not. I'm going to move back to this more obvious one, although there is a nice little one there. And basically what we're looking for is a run of red bars. I don't care how many. Here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And once again, I can ask you to ask yourself or ask the chart, is it true and fair to say we are in a trend? Well, we'd have to answer yes for that, wouldn't we? First box ticked then. Did we have a colour change? Yes, we did. They're all red. This one's green. It doesn't take a genius to spot it. It ain't hide and seek, is it? It's right there. And the next thing we're looking for is the bar that then allows the continuation. Does it close below the bar or below at least the close of the green bar? And yes, it does. So there exists the possibility of a classic colour change here. If we looked at it, are there many pips in it? Well, not really. Remember, we're on a 1 minute chart, won't you? So please remember that you're not going to get 50, 60, 90 pips from these moves. But that one's gone 17 and it comes back and closes and we go green. You could take 8, you could take 5. You shouldn't let it go back to where you got in. You just shouldn't, because it's a continuation. Let's look at this one. Are we in a downtrend according to this chart? From then, pretty much, yes. So we've got a classic colour change. There's the close of the bar. There's the low of the bar. Worst case scenario, you're in and it runs and you've got potential for 19 pips. It does come back up to give you only 12. It goes as low as offering you 28. A 10 pipper would be fair in there, I believe. Now, does there exist a classic colour change here? Well, no, because we are in a down trade, but there's 1, 2, 3 bars of the green against the trend, if you like. So this isn't a classic colour change. It's more than 2 bars. We can have a look at a few markets. We can see the NAS, the Dow, the SP 500, and here we are. Are we in a trend? Yeah, we're in an uptrend. From left to right, we're in an uptrend. Hindsight's 2020. We're still in an uptrend. We've rejected something. We run a green retracement, or if you like, a classic colour change. And this is where I want you guys to think about the questions that you're asking of the chart. Very simply, are we in an uptrend? Yes. Is there a classic colour change? Yes. Is it rejecting something that I would approve of, that you approve of? Well, over here, I wanted this drawing tool. Over here, we've got one of those levels that I like, a 60. I like big round numbers. I like 60s and 40s, don't I? There's an invisible 40 in there. I like those things, and they are indeed things. Oh, there's questions, and I don't have the chat open. Let me see. Hi, Adam. Nice to see you on. Hi, Sakti. Thanks for being here. Claude, hello to you. Hi, Robert. Market's been a little choppy. It is Monday. Please discuss more than one green bar and then a drop at your convenience. I will indeed, Claude, yes. But you know what I'm going to say. And if you don't know what I'm going to say, you're bloody fired. But we'll do it in a minute. We will do it, okay? And where was I? Delete all those drawings. So we've got a colour change. This is the colour change bar. Does this bar close above his close or above his high? Yes, somewhere here in there, in that level, there's an entry. So there is an entry. There's another colour change and a potential for an exit. If we manage those now or measure those now, there's your potential for an entry on a colour change. There is your potential for an exit. 30 pips, 33 pips. I'm going to round it because of my feeble ability in, what's the word? In adding up. There's another classic colour change, still in an uptrend. That's a classic colour change, and it does go above his close, but it also went below his low, didn't it? Okay, so if you went there, that one's a loss. If you went there, that one's probably a loss. Well, it is a loss. Not every trade you take will be a winner. If you're looking for winner, 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 chicken dinner, you're in the wrong place. Trading, there are losses, and that's just that. Why do I like the classic colour change? And you'll like this one, Claude, because it also offers us the chance to draw a fib. And here we go. Look, run of greens to the red, a fib. We ping off the 50% and tally ho, and then these light blue lines become the what's it called? Targets. If we looked at this one, run of greens, green, 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 red. Do we have a classic colour change? Yes, but it breaks the 61.8. Well, do we want to play with this one then? Not really, no. But once again, if we question everything, we'd have to ask, is that an X, an A, a B, a C? This could be a W. It could indeed be a W. And that's where I ask you to consider some of the indicators. What are we coming off? Oh, look, everybody, we're coming off S3. Now, I didn't know that before I made invisible, because remember, we were looking at the NAS a minute, what were we looking at? We were looking at the NAS when we first started. But there is clear and present rejection of a line. Is there clear and present divergence? Well, wouldn't you know it? We've got equidistant bottoms and lower lows. Hey presto, divergence within the indicator, leading to a very sensible and healthy run up. If I hide that fib just for a moment, or delete it, and then pop on there some of our higher value EMAs, classic color change at one of our higher value EMAs, and then a battle around two other of our higher value EMAs. Saxty says, James, many times I've seen with our fib level with colour change is very good. Exactly. My point. There's another one there. Look, green, 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 two reds. Not a classic colour change, but it's a fib. And it's off one of our favoured EMAs, this maroon line there. If we pop them all on, there you go, orange, red, purple and pink. Well, it becomes money for jam then, really, doesn't it? That's without even a trigger indicator on there. We can look and see higher highs over lower highs and rejection of a line, R2. Thank you very much. And we know there's going to be a pullback. Somebody please type in there, why do we know there's going to be a pullback here? If we moved all that off screen so we can see none of it, how do we know there's going to be a pullback from here? Someone, pray tell me. I'll hide him. We don't need him for the minute. Pink crossed purple. Thank you, Peter. Pink crossed purple. Regardless of the divergence, Peter. But yeah, there's divergence. There's going to be a pullback. But pink crossing purple very often generates a pullback. Will it gather some momentum? Maybe. But it didn't in this case, did it? It XABCW'd off of red or purple. With again some more divergence, equidistant bottom, higher lows right there. Wherever we go now, and I'm going to hide all these indicators again. I'll leave the time on. I'm going to hide this one. I'm going to go to now, as at now. Oh look, did we have a classic colour change? Are we in an uptrend? Well, across to the left, yes, we are in an uptrend. Why are we battling? We really need these higher value EMAs, and yeah, there's a very big round number there, the round 53,000, but I'm pretty sure we're coming off of something significant up there. It's probably just a big round number, double tops, and once again an element of divergence. With when we look at it, we've got a lower high on price, and he looks equidistant, at least to me. Let's put this on and see, what are you exactly? Your equidistant highs, and you're actually very slightly lower. So there is a little tinge of divergence within the indicator there, but lower highs over here. The classic colour change is a thing. Should you use it on its own? Bear in mind, Peter uses it on a 5-minute chart. We're looking at it on a 1. We could also look at it on our we use the Fibonacci. We can use it on our 2-minute Fibonacci chart. Whatever we use it on, we should consider trend, and we should ask, have we had a classic colour change? Those of you who know me know about what I expect from 1400 hours on any day of the week. What do I expect? What do I look for? What do I consider? Well, there it is, the ugly trickle down. Is it ugly? It's ugly enough. Do we have some classic colour changes? There's a red one. Do we breach his high? No, we carry on. We get another classic colour change, another classic colour change, another classic colour change. And tally-ho, down it goes until we reach a point where we see some level of lower lows, higher lows, divergence even within the indicator, and then we move up for the potential spike that we see at the US Open. And then obviously here we've had a an expanding wedge. So who was it who said to me it was a choppy day? I think it was you, Robert, wasn't it? Hey, Rosa, good to see you on. I just see your name there. Robert says, yeah, market's been a little choppy this morning. Well, there you see why, Robert. An expanding wedge. Lower lows and higher highs. Once the market is open, I always find that's ugly. There is still a bit of a W, X, A, B, C, W right there. This terrible drawing. I'm never going to be Picasso, am I? Or anyone that can draw it, really. Need to get one of my daughters involved because they can all draw. But once we've decided, well, not us, it's not us that decides, is it? Once we've decided the trend, we can consider classic colour changes. We shouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater. We should think about things like this: X, A, B, C, W, WD, even for a W there, XA, that's a bit of a W there, and note it pivots off pink, and note pink cross purple, so this was only ever a pullback, leading you to know or believe with a high degree of probability that we're going to try and move up. If we don't breach his high, then he's likely a B. C to D is the most predictable leg of a W. Why? Because you've got X, A, B, C already on the screen. You might have some level of divergence within the indicator there, and you do. And there you have a run. There you have one of those classic colour changes. Either there or there, then you have reason to re-enter if you missed the initial signal. So the initial signal from here to, well, to here, obviously this is your first red bar. That's your initial signal. And then that's your continuation trade up there. But this is where you'd be out. All those traders who say, oh, in at the top, in at the bottom, out at the top. That's not what I'm looking for. This is what I'm looking for. Well, they're bleeding geniuses and I respect them all. But I just, I wasn't born yesterday, so bog off, I don't believe you. There then is a run, which is the C to D leg, and it's 35 pips. There then is a continuation. That was quite rude, wasn't it? I apologise for my rudeness. With another 17 pips. Anyone who says I'm getting in at the bottom and out at the top, well, we don't pick bottoms. And we're not tall enough to reach the top, not never, ever, ever. We see what we see, we trade what we see, and we trade the signals that we can then believe in. Can anyone see another pattern on there that I would like? I would love to discuss it if you can see it. Someone just give it to me and tell me. You only have to write one letter. So there's a clue for you. Go on. Go on. Teacup? Nah. Go on, I'll give it you then. Look at this. What's this? An H. Adam's got it. An H right there. Look. An H. He's an H. So we get an inside in between a... Well, you know what it is. Outside, inside, outside. That's basically an inside bar, but the previous bar fully engulfed them as well, so I like it. And then the new bar is green, which I really like. And he becomes an H once he's there. So regardless of the fact that it's probably a signal on our strategy, it's certainly a hopper down here. There exists a pattern that I favour, an H right there. I don't know how many other traders see things like that. I don't know if there's other, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, to be honest. Other mentors, other educators who see things like this, who look for them. But we were talking about fibs, so we'll go run a green, red, regardless that it's an H, it's rejecting the 50%, it's breaking back above the 38.2, and there exists a reason within this 1 minute bar to go long either here off the 987 MACD scalper pattern too, or here when we break his high. There it is. Or see this, a big round number, when we break through the big round number, 29.7 up through a fib first target, 32. So you've got a 30 pips, you lock that in, it moves up to 760. There's 60 pips in that signal right there. It comes down through the 40. You all know. You absolutely know. And if you doubt it, please unmute and suggest why. You know I'd want you pulling the plug at the 40. Would I want you going back in? Yes. That's a classic colour change. It's one red bar in an uptrend. And we reject a 29.7 without ever hopping south. So you can take 40 pips on the first leg and then 7 up to, there's nearly an 8 in there. I'm going to suggest it's a 60 pips on the second leg and be, what's the word, conservative. So a 40 and a 60, there's 100 pips in those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 minutes right there. 100 pips. So for anyone who does follow me on social media, you will see that I put up a post today. It's from 8 years ago, where one of our members had a little one-to-one bottom spanking session with me, where I put him right and sent him on the right path, and he did really well with it. I think he made 120 pips in a few minutes. Again, is this a classic colour change? Yes. Is this a classic colour change? Yes. We're in an uptrend or a pivot or a reason to be looking for longs. When we have a reason to be looking for shorts, we could really do worse and begin with, has that line gone below 0? Yeah, okay, well now you can start looking for shorts, because I do suggest it's the MACD that gives you the trend, not the EMAs. So you've got a sell signal and you've got a classic colour change and a continuation sell. Is this a classic colour change? No, it's a pivot off purple. Is it a long? No, we don't go back. Is there any divergence? Lower highs, that's all. So there's no real classic colour change here until we break below purple with this one, and then it's this. This is your pigeon to take some pips. But having these EMAs on and visible show you reasons to enter, reasons to take your pips. 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 You see, reason, it's always reason. There's nothing random about our trading. There's nothing random about the rules that we set for ourselves. And what's that? Sometimes I get caught trying a pivot and it ends up being a colour change. Okay, are you considering then patterns, divergence and the rejection of a line? Remember earlier in this session I said, please don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. The baby is still in there. You've got a double bottom over there. Is this a double bottom? Or is that equidistant lows over higher lows? Well, that's what it is, isn't it? There's a higher low right there. There's a pivot. That one's a pivot. This one's a pivot, but down. So having these EMAs on, and remember they're in the must obey icon. Remember that spreadsheet that I share with you where we've got must obey, what's the word, beware / extreme caution indicators, and then we've got the hey look indicators. Well, these EMAs are all in the must obey. And it's not that you must or you can obey them. It's because they're not signals, but they're pivots. I've described them before as being that Glenn Close in the movie, what is it? Oh, Fatal Attraction. Do not ignore me. So this red line is saying, do not ignore me. This pink line, do not ignore me. You know, this purple line, do not ignore me. A low test bar off the purple line right there. If you're not already in, this is a little bit of range. Look at the little wedgie pattern on it there. It's a bit of range that you don't want to get caught up in until it breaks the wedge. You see, it's not rocket science, but it is about seeing what exists on the chart against what you think might be there on the charts. So we always ask, and I'm sorry to do this to you, you're all going to hate me now, does there exist divergence? No brainer really, isn't it? Have we rejected the line? Well, what's 20 pips above 29,880, lads? What's there? I mean, it's a big round number, isn't it? There exists divergence. Is that not a little wedge there with inside bar, inside bar, inside bar? Are they not tweezer tops, that green and red with the red on the correct side of the white? Does that exist, an area where we've gone below one of our signal levels, if you like? Okay, yes. Then there's it's all right there. All of those rules, they're right there, kind of in your face, on a all the time way, if you like. They're always there. They're always in your face. The deal is, were you looking for them? Were you paying attention? Well, were you? You know? when we look at this, people will say, well, is there any divergence in there? That's a higher low. That's a higher low. That's a much higher low. So there's a little bit of divergence in there. Notwithstanding the divergence, I want that. Give me that thing there. You see these? What's this? Tweezer bottoms, isn't it? That's what, I know it's a 1 minute chart, so they're not true tweezer bottoms. They're not two low test bars or something, but it's a red and a green like that, and they're straddling our EMAs that we like. And for me, that's the jobby. There's the RTF, there's the hopper, there's your reason to be long, there's your colour change if you missed it, and there is then, yeah, a pullback because we hit a line. And it couldn't be more obvious. Can breaking a line be part of the signal when to enter? Yes, Robert. And a W, says Adam. Exactly. X, A, B, C, W. It's pretty. It really is pretty. And as if to sort of to agree with me, it pulls back here, and this is higher or as high as this, because this is as high or a little bit higher than there. You see, D for me is always at least as high as X, usually higher when C is higher than A. So yeah, it pulls back. If we cleared all the drawings, we can probably put on there, is there? Oh yes, there is. I kind of hoped there would be. Look, a run of greens, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 greens and a red. So long as there's at least 3, we can put a fib on there. Does it pull back? No, but it doesn't break through any of the blues either. It holds the pink line. All we could really do with that one then is we could, if you like, ladder that fib. We go from the 61.8 to the same upper anchor, and all we're asking it is, you've clipped off a 50% here. Well, thank you very much, mate. Boom, off we go. So the ladder might have helped you with your signal. You all know we use much better signals than that. And what's the pip count? Well, 29, 7, 10 at the bottom, just for my feeble rounding. There's a 780 up here. It's not all in one leg. So you've got about 20 pips, 10 pips to there. Then you've got a re-entry off the classic colour change, or the fib if you like. I'm going to say 720, 730 if you want. 760, we're rejecting it, another 30 pips there. We pull back to a 40 and we tally-ho, and there's another 20 or 30 pips in there. So 10, 30, 40 and 30, 70 pips in that move overall, if you want them. If you're awake enough, if you're focused, if you're following the process, the steps in the process, the divergence, the rejection of a line and a signal. And again, if you've checked my social media and you've seen that latest post from a gentleman who's in our group a very long time, and I hold him in esteem, I like the man, went on holiday with him in Menorca, stayed in his villa in Menorca. He's a really nice man, a lovely family. His daughter played with my daughter, despite the age difference. She's quite a bit older than my little Stacey. But that's my point. I don't put people on a bum steer. I point you in the right direction. Now, I can point. It doesn't mean you'll follow my direction. There are so many who will, yeah, I know what you said, but I'm going to go this way. I think this way is better. Alrighty then, that's up to you. Now, we've looked at the NAS, the Dow, the DAX. What about if we went off base and said, what about a currency? Is there a classic colour change on a currency? Well, we're clearly in an uptrend, aren't we? So green, 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 red, yeah. Green, 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 red. Green, 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 red. More than one green there. But is that a pivot off one of our higher value EMAs and off a Camarilla level? Well, it is, isn't it? It would be mental to say it's not. So yes, it exists anywhere. You look at it, that's the euro dollar. Let's see if there's something on. I wanted to see like an oil, a gold or something. There's you gold, your gold. There's gold. Is there a classic colour change option in there? Probably. Let's find where, look at that. Up, 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 colour change, up, up, up. There you go. Claude says, I use it on gold. Sorry I named you there, Claude, but I'm sure you won't mind. Brent oil. Yeah, red, 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 green, a bit of a wedge pattern. Why are we struggling there? That's why I say we still want our EMAs. You know, there's a classic colour change there, and I'm going to sell it now when we breach below his close. And well, why isn't it going down? Because one of our higher value EMAs is in there. But eventually, the pattern shows itself, and we get a breach and a reason. And that's my point. Reason. Have a reason to do something, or don't do anything. I know one of the newest people in our group traded the S&P, and there it is, classic colour change right there for you. We've rejected the line. Was there divergence? At least, yes. And rejection of a line, yes. Classic colour change, continuation. Little bit of an H there, but he's red, so he took a minute to get started. Still went, you know. So there you go. And when there's a few of them in the colour change, yeah, draw a fib. That would be my recommendation. Put a fib on it and be sure. Like there, classic colour change. Green, 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 red, classic colour change. Right there. And why? Well, there's one of them 40s that I mentioned. I liked it some moment ago. There's a higher high over a lower high, but we're still in buy hopper mode, so we still go tally-ho chaps, don't we? And that's my point for what we're looking at here. How's that sound, everybody? Has anyone any questions on it? We're 30 minutes, so it was quite a long, waffly classic colour change, wasn't it? Did we like it? Thumbs up, says Adam. Thank you, Adam. Questions on that? Remember, we cannot question our better strategies, but you can question the classic colour change as much as you want. Thanks, Anne. Appreciate that. I hope you guys don't mind me mentioning your name. It's only your first name, so no one knows you, you know. I'm going to look next week at something. It's a new way of looking at the gates. You know, we've got a gates system. I saw a picture over the weekend. And you all know I was away for a nice family long weekend. And we really enjoyed it. Yes, I saw your comment, Mark. But what you got to remember is discipline at the charts is very different to discipline in the presence of those who would have us not eat chocolate and ice cream and stuff. So me and my little Stacey, we kind of like to sneak off and have a bit of excess in terms of chocolate and ice cream and things like that, you know. Well, there you go. So we found ourselves in the stocks. Lovely weekend anyway. Just on point, as if by magic, outside, inside, outside, and we get a little move up. An H, does it work? Well, it's trying to fail. There's plenty of divergence, isn't there? But it's still one more thing to point out. A little bit of an H there. Divergence, always much appreciated, says Ellen. Please teach us. Absolutely. The more you practice divergence, ladies and gentlemen, the better. It's like the predictor. It tells you what's coming next. How could you not want to know what's coming next? As a trader, I always want to know what's coming next. I tell you what, how many are we online today? We're only 21 people in this session. In the live trading sessions, how often do you see me getting caught out? Please unmute if it's a lot. And oh, you said it was going to do this and it didn't do it. How many times have I said, this is what's going to happen next? And then we've watched it do exactly that. It's very often, isn't it? Why? Because all we need is a level head and the ability to spot divergence. And these little cheeky H patterns as well, by the way. And these rejections of lines. And across and across, and that's it. It really isn't rocket science. It'll never get more complicated than three special things: divergence, the rejection of a line, and a signal. James and caught out are not words that exist in the same sentence. Thank you, I appreciate that. I do. Yeah, you see, growing up in Liverpool, that's all we were about, just trying to catch people out all the time. So to say we would be paranoid about being caught out, yeah, I don't have a fear of missing out, but I sure do have a fear of being caught out. So there you go, everybody. I will end the recording right there and ask you all, please trade safe, and I look forward to seeing you on the next live session. Thanks, everybody, and enjoy. Oh, please feel free to click a like on the YouTube recording there. Since somebody dislikes them, it'll outnumber their dislikes. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.